Hello dear friends. Today we are going to understand how to design a basic calculator in JavaScript. So let's start. A basic HTML file is added in Visual Studio. So here I am going to add one table tag. So I am giving the borders of this table tag as 1 and width of this table tag as 500 or 400 something, and the alignment of this table is center I am giving. Now we'll add one row inside it. So for adding row, we have tr tag. Inside we am using td tag, and inside that I'm going to add a simple a text input type text. So we'll see how it looks like. It looks like this. A text box is added here. Now I'm going to increase the size of this. I'm going to increase the size of this text box. I want to increase the size of this text box. So I'm giving the size as 50. Now to make it, I'm I'm going to change the style of this text box as text align is equal to center right. Text align is equal to right. Now we'll see how it looks. If I run it, we can type the text like this. Now we'll make it read only. So we don't want to type the text in it. So for making it read only, I'm using the read only attribute of this tag. Now we'll see here. This is now read only. We cannot enter the text into it through keyboard. Now we want to create one more row, and inside it we want to create an td, and inside this td tag I'm going to create one button. So for creating button I'm going to copy the same thing here. I'm going to copy this input type equal to button. No need to specify the size to the button. Now I'm giving the value to this button as 7 and id of this button as b7. Okay, now I'm making the copy of the same row and adding it later. I am changing the value of this button as 8 and id as b8. Once again I am making the copy of it. I am giving the value as 9 and b id as b9. Now one more blank column I am going to add here. One more blank column. So for that I am going to add ampersand nbsp. Now one more row I am going to add here. So I am giving the value as division and button as div. Now we'll see the output of this. So after I execute it, the output is displayed like this. Now we want to change the row span of this first column as 5. Now to make it visible, so I'm giving the row span of this column style as 5. Now we'll see. So we can see like this, row span is equal to 5. After I giving the row span of this is 5, row span of this is 5, row span I want to give a column span instead of row span. I want to give a column span. Now we'll see. So buttons are displayed like this. Now I want to specify the size of each button. I want to adjust the size of each button. For giving the size of each button, I am going to create a style class for this. So here I am going to add the style tag, and inside the style tag I am going to define the style for button. So here define the style for button. I am writing the button class. So I am specifying the width of this button. width as suppose 60 pixel, and height as suppose 60 pixel. Now we'll see, we want to add this button class as style of this button. So here I am specifying the class is equal to button, class is equal to button. Now the same class I'm going to apply for this, same class I'm going to apply for all the buttons. So here we'll see how the buttons looks like. Now when I run it, the buttons are look like this. Buttons are look like this. We can change the alignment of this as so I'm going to remove the border style. I'm going to remove the border style of this table as I'm going to remove this border style. Now we'll see how these buttons looks like. So this looks like this. Now I want to change the button style as 40. I want to change the button style as I'm going to reduce the size of this as 40. I'm going to reduce the size of this as 40. I'm going to reduce the size of table as 300. Now we'll see how it looks like. So it looks like this. I'm going to reduce the size of this as 200 pixel. 200 pixel. Now I'm going to specify the size at 300 pixel of this table. Now when I run it, there is no effect. I am going to reduce the size of this as 30 size. Now we'll check. Now it looks better. Now I want to reduce the size of this button. So I'm reduce the size of this button. I'm making it 40. 14 you will see. So buttons are look like this. Now the buttons are look like this. Now what we can do is we'll create I'm going to specify the size of this as 200 pixel. 200 size of this table as 200 pixel. Now we'll see. So now it looks better. It looks better. Now I'm going to also reduce the size of this text box as 20 20. Now we'll see how it looks like. So it looks better. Now instead of 20, I'm going to specify the size is 25. Now we'll see. So it looks like this. Now I'm going to copy the same row. I'm going to copy the same row and adding it after this first row. I'm going to change the style of this, change the value on the button as 4, 5 and 6. Now I'm going to change the ID of this button as 4, then 5, then 6. Okay. Now I want to make this button as multiplication button. The last button I want to change as multiplication. We'll given the ID as multiplication. Now we'll see how this design looks. So it looks better. Now once again we'll do the same thing. Again I'm going to copy the same row, adding it after this row. I'm writing the value as 1 2 3 and b ID as b1, then b2, then b3. Now and to this button I'm going to specify the ID as add. I'm giving the specifying the value as plus. Now we'll see. So this design looks like this. Now one more row I want to add. So for this I'm going to make the copy of the same row again. I am adding here 0. I want to add here double 0. Now here I am to add point, and then I want to add here minus. So I'm giving the name of this minus button as minus minus, and the button ID as B0, then B Z0, B Z, and here I'm as dot B dot, something like that I'm going to add. Now we'll see this design looks like this. Now I want to add one more button as equal to, one more button as equal to. So I'm making the copy of same row again. I don't want this input type button here. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete this button also. So I'm adding here NBSP to each column. Blank column I'm adding. I'm going to add here. Now we'll create an equal to button, and we'll change the ID of this button as equal. Now we'll see what is the output. So here is the output of this calculator. Now we'll perform some code to display the output as when I click on 7, 7 should be displayed here. When I click on 8, 7 and 8 should be displayed here. So for that we'll have to write some code. Now we'll move towards the JavaScript. We'll see how can we write the code for this. We'll start from the button 7. We'll specify here attribute as on click. When the button is clicked, I want to call the function as numClick. NumClick is a function that I am going to add. Any function, any valid function name we can use here. NumClick is a function, and to this function I am going to pass the object of this button. The same button I am going to pass NumClick, and this I'm going to write this particular function. I'm going to write this particular function in JavaScript. So for that I'm going to write the JavaScript inside the head tag. So here I'm specifying the script tag, and inside the script tag I'm going to write a function called numClick, and here I'm going to define the function. So on the global area I'm going to declare the variable as num, whose value is blank. Now I'm going to use this variable as num is equal to num plus this dot value. I'm getting the value of this button which is selected by user, value of this button, and I want to add this num to this text box. So I need to get or access this text box here. So for accessing this text box here, I can access like this document dot get element by id. Now the id that we have given to this text box is num, and I want to assign the value to this, assign the num value to this. So now we'll see whether it runs or not. We'll see how it works. Now when I refresh it and when I click on 7, so no effect is there, no effect is there. What happened? Okay, so I have written the code for 7. The 7 should appear here, but there is no effect for the 7. What will happen? What is happen on click? Num click is a function that I am going to call. So inside the num click I am getting this, and num equal to num plus this dot value. Sorry, I'm going to take the b, and I'm going to call it as a b dot value. So whatever the button on which the click action is performed, I'm passing this button to this function, and I'm taking the value of this button and concatenating with num and adding that num to so this text box. Now we'll see whether it works or not. When I click on 7, again it is not going to display. We'll check whether there are some errors. So there is an error called value cannot set properties of null setting values. Cannot set properties of null setting values num click. So what is the reason of this error? So error is on num on click equal to num click this. We have specified the num click as a function and we are taking this num as b and getting the value as num equal to num b dot value and document dot get element by adding num. So to this input type we need to specify the id as num, id as id is equal to num. We forgot to specify the id to this first input box and here I'm adding the id to this first input box as num. Now we'll see whether it works. There is no error now. When I click on 7, 7 is appearing here. Now when I click on 8, we have not written the code for 8 but 7 is working now. Now we'll write the same function, we'll call the same function to each and every button, num button. So I'm making the copy of this line here to this button, button 9. Whatever the number buttons are there, I'm going to call the number click function. So here number click function I'm going to call. So again I'm going to call this function for 1, 2 and 3 and again I'm going to call this for 0, for double 0 and for dot. Now we'll see whether all the buttons are working or not. When I click on refresh, we'll see 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3, 0, double 0, point 3. So everything is working fine. Now what we have to do is when we perform an operation, after giving the first number as a input, we are going to perform the click operation on plus, either plus or multiplication. When I click on plus, this should be considered as the first number and after this we should be able to add one more new number. So whatever the new number is added, we have to consider this as a second number and in the click event of this equal to function we have to perform the addition of these two numbers. So now the next thing that will perform is we'll handle this operation buttons, arithmetic operations such as multiplication, division, plus addition and subtraction. We'll write a function for handling these button. So how to write a function for these button? Now similar to this on click, I am going to write a function for this division button first. So here I am going to add on click event for this division and here I am going to specify the function as an operation function, operation click, click, operation click is a function and again I'm passing this to this. So this is the function that I have to define for each operation. So I'm going to write a function here. Again name of the function should be this and I'm going to define the function like this. So one more variable I'm going to declare as operation is equal to blank. So in which I want to take the operator on which the user has performed a click action. So OP is equal to I'm going to write, so here I'm going to write as B, then B dot value is B dot value. So this operation now contains a valid operator such as plus, minus, multiplication, division. We want to call this function for all the four buttons. Now I'm going to copy this particular function and making the copy of it and adding here for this division button, again for this addition button, again for this minus button. So these are the four arithmetic operation that we want to perform. So after clicking on this arithmetic operator button, operation button, so this op click function will be called. and whatever the operator will, we are taking that operator in OP. Now after getting operator, we have to clear this number. I'm going to write num equal to clear. It means, so whatever the existing number which is there in number 1, we are going to clear it, and then 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 what we have to do is, then we'll see whether it clears or not, it works fine or not. When I click on refresh, I am here specifying 12, then I'm going to click on plus, I am going to specify 23, right? So 12 plus 23 is showing. Now we have to take this 23 as a second number after click on this equal to button. So for that, so same code I'm going to write for the equal to button. So for this equal to button, I'm going to write on click attribute, and I'm going to call the function as equal function, equal click. So this equal function I need to define. So here I'm going to define the function equal function. Then inside the equal function, we need to take the number as n2. What we'll do is, we'll declare two variable as n1 is equal to 0 and where n2 equal to 0, n2 is equal to 0, and one more variable will create answer equal to 0. Now after clicking on operation button, what we'll do is, we'll take n1 equal to whatever the text which is there in this text box, will convert it as integer, and will assign this value into n1. So after, before clearing number, we'll take it. The same code we need to take for this. Same code we'll now have to take for this. Yeah, as an en2, if we click on equal to function, if we click on equal to button, this equal function will be called, and whatever the text which is there in number text box, we are taking it as number 2. And now we have to perform what we have to perform is, what we have to perform is, we have to check for the operator which is performed, the button which has user has clicked. So I'm going to pass this switch operator. I'm going to pass the operator which is there in operator variable, which we have taken when operation button is clicked. So whether plus, minus, multiplication, division button is clicked, so respected value will be there in OP, plus, minus. We are going to pass this plus minus to this switch statement. I am going to write the case value for this plus. If this is the plus, we want to perform the addition of two number as n1 plus n2, and we have to break. Now the same code we have to write for subtraction. We'll check here for subtraction and we'll perform subtraction. The same code we need to write for division or multiplication. We'll write for division, and finally the same code we'll write for multiplication. We'll write here multiplication, and we'll perform the multiplication of these two numbers, and whatever the answer which is there in answer to variable, we have to display that answer in this text box. So again I'm going to access this particular num box. I am going to assign the value to this as ans. Now we'll see, as per the code that we have written, whether it works or not. I'm making it refresh. Now I'm going to click on 12, then plus, and then 10, then equal to. Now it's 22. Now everything is working fine. Now when I click on again plus, so this will be considered as first number, because whenever we click on this operator function, we have taken whatever the text which is there in text box is number 1. So when I click on plus and when I click on 30, 22 plus 30 is 52. Again when I click on minus and when I click on 20, so 52 minus 20 is again 32. When I click on multiplication and when I click on 2, when I click on equal to, 32 minus 2 is 64. When I click on division and when I click on 6 and when I click on equal to, 64 minus 6 is 10. So everything is working fine. So in this way we can design a basic calculator in JavaScript. I hope you understand how can we design it, how to add the style for button, how to design equal buttons, and how to perform this basic operation in JavaScript. I hope you understand. Thank you.